Hey there, I'm Emgris, I'm from Russia, and today we're having a very unexpected trip. That's a trip to one of the cities close to Moscow. I will tell you just in a moment what city it is, but it's a very unusual trip because we are driving, and we are driving a car sharing. Do you know about car sharings? If don't, please let me know in the comments. I will just make a video about it because it's a really helpful and easy system of riding a car and not owning one. So let's hit the road and see you in the city of our destination. It's 6:21 a.m. and we are here in Nizhniy Novgorod. We started at 10 and we are here. That's the car that we drove, so if you want to know about car sharings, then let me know. And I also thought that it was kind of weird of me and strange of me to say that you don't know what city we are going to because you have written the title and you have not written, you've read the title and you definitely knew about this. So I'm not that good of a YouTuber yet. The premises of Kremlin of Nizhniy Novgorod. It's raining today, but it doesn't make our walk any worse because Nizhniy Novgorod just celebrated 800 years from its establishment, and it's a nice city with really beautiful architecture. Right now we are in Kremlin, Kremlin of Nizhniy Novgorod. I can't say that it is the most beautiful Kremlin in the world, but it's one of the Kremlins, so there are Kremlins in Russia except for Moscow, not just in Moscow. So here it's a really cozy small Kremlin with some buildings, administrative buildings, and you can just wander around and have a look for yourself. Have you heard about the concept of the eternal flame? I know that in the USA you have basically, you have just one, at least the one that I found out about. It's dedicated to John F. Kennedy on his grave. But in Russia it's a really, if I can say popular thing, but it's a very common thing. In European part of Russia, nearly in every city you can find the eternal flame like this. So usually it's a flame surrounded by different monuments and different complexes, monumental complexes, I put it like this. And this is the flame to commemorate the victory in the Second World War, in the Great Patriotic War, as we call it here. And that's just the memory, the flame of memory. Basically, it's usually on the 9th of May. People come here to Eternal Flames and commemorate the memory. They honor the memory of those who fell during this war and give their honors to that. Basically, that's the story. We just found out that the square, the place, the premises of this Kremlin is 23 hectares, and in Moscow it's 27. So this one is smaller, but not much smaller than the Moscow Kremlin. Here is a piece of information for you from some random guide here in Kremlin. This Kremlin is actually the only Kremlin in Russia where you can walk on the wall of the Kremlin. We are not going to do this, frankly speaking, just because we are too lazy and we need to buy tickets for this, and it's not that spectacular. But if you want to, you can do this. If you want to climb on these stairs, they look pretty steep, but you can do this. It costs probably not a lot. Here we are on the cableway in Nizhniy Novgorod. It's a pretty long one. It's actually the longest cableway in Europe that is above the river. It takes 12.5 minutes to get from one side to another. Actually, the one side is Nizhniy Novgorod, another side is the town called Abour. That is also weird, so it's the intercity commuting transport. So imagine that you can work in Nizhniy Novgorod and live in Abour, and every day you just commute above Volga River. That is kind of awesome, I think. At least for me, because I found out that I probably like cableways. At least in Altai and here I really enjoy it, so yeah. Can you see what's going on around? Because the weather is pretty foggy and the glass is not really visible through. We shouldn't forget that we live in new times, in the times of COVID, in the times of lockdowns and all these things. That's why we don't have the pleasure of going to cafes, and we have to basically order it online and have it on the really field environment. We're just in our hotel trying to have some fancy dinner, but it looks like this. But it tastes good. I was waiting for my cameraman and couldn't resist, but ate half of it already. So yes, that's the reality. That's the lockdown in Russia right now. Nizhniy Novgorod is considered to be an alternative capital of street art, and actually you really can see here a lot of objects, from really tiny ones with the size of a brick, or some really big ones like the one behind me. And there are a lot of festivals here. You can find a lot of objects that are created there, or just objects that artists create just without any reason, just because they want to. It's very interesting to go on a hunt for those art pieces. But that's what we are doing right now, so I will show you some of those objects right here, right now. You probably can't read Cyrillic letters, that's why I will tell you that behind me it says Gorkovskaya pivovarnya, that means brewery of Gorkovskaya brewery, or brewery from Gorkiy. And I wanted to tell you that sometimes you can hear something about Gorkiy and then find out that it's about Nizhniy Novgorod. Those are like two, you might think that those are like two different cities, but actually Nizhniy Novgorod used to be Gorkiy during Soviet times, and it's a very common thing when some cities and towns are named after some revolutionists and some prominent Soviet figures. But later, when the Soviet times ended, basically, and Russia came to life, those cities were renamed and they are now called that they used to be called, at least most of them. So Nizhniy Novgorod used to be Gorkiy during the Soviet times, yes. Behind me you can see a really beautiful building that looks a little bit like GUM. GUM is the shopping center on the Red Square in Moscow. This one is a new building, but it has a really interesting history. So basically Nizhniy Novgorod was during old times a very trading center. It had a really trading position because of here the Volga River and the Oka River, they meet, so you have a really good transportation hub here. And here there was the fair, the All Russian fair, that a lot of merchants came here and traded their goods. It was really a big thing, just believe me. Then it all started to fade, especially during the Soviet times, and there was no building, even the building of the fair, the Nizhniy Novgorod fair. But recently, some time ago, they found the remainings of this building and they restored it and made it the way it was. So imagine that in this building even the Tsar, the emperor, came to see how the fair was going on. So it was a really huge thing back then, and I was really interested to come and visit this building. I'm not sure whether we can come inside, but even the exterior of it, it's also really beautiful. You can actually go inside, and there is the museum, actually 2 museums, and you can visit them if you are here during the working hours. Will I recommend it? Not sure, but it costs just 50 rubles these 2 halls, so why not? Remember I told you about the Nizhniy Novgorod fair? So here is the picture that you see there were a lot of rows. Those rows of like aisles, rows of the fair, that was a huge thing. By the way, this museum is the first time when I actually use my QR code. QR code is the code that you can get if you are vaccinated, fully vaccinated, if you have had a disease, COVID disease, during the last 6 months, I think. And that's it. If you want to know about the COVID restrictions and the quarantine that we have in Russia, please let me know. I will make a video about it as well, because actually in different regions the situation is different and restrictions are different as well. So in case if you want to know, you know where to find me in the comments below. It looks like right now we are in the down Novgorod, and then there is the upper Novgorod, the one that just faded out. That's it. That was our short trip to Nizhniy Novgorod, a very short and a very lazy trip. Have you got any questions about Russia? Leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification button, and see you!